Welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. Today we're talking about the best Limitless team for Matchday 2, and a lot of managers will be using the chip this week. If you want any ideas or chip strategies, then be sure to check my best chip strategy guide, and I also include a wildcard draft for those of you that are considering using the wildcard right now. Let's get this video to over 300 likes, and we're very close to 14,000 subscribers, so let's hit it today in this very video, and I'd very much appreciate it, and always a pleasure to have you on here. But let's get straight into this one, and let me know your thoughts on the best Limitless team. Just in case you're not aware, the Limitless is like the free hit from FPL, but you have no budget at all. So you can go for Mbappe, Lewandowski, Haaland, and also have Salah and the most expensive midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers of your choice. But you still need to have 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards, and then play an eligible formation. But one thing that we need to consider as well with the Limitless team is not just getting the best players and that's it and go for the fixtures, but also the balance between the Tuesday and Wednesday games, as I've discussed in my last few videos. So you don't want just maybe 2 or 3 players on the Tuesday, despite the fact that a lot of these big teams aren't having great games in Matchday 2. You want to try to still go for a few more of these players, because otherwise, if let's say for example you have only 2-3 players playing on the Tuesday, then you're not going to be able to make as many points from substitutions, and also in terms of the captaincy, your options won't be that strong, and you're only going to have maybe a lot of good options on one specific day, but not so much in the other. So try to have all of that in mind when building the best Limitless team. But now let's get straight into the goalkeepers. Remember, budget isn't an issue at all. On paper, Courtois and Alisson are the best goalkeepers on a Limitless in Matchday 2, but Alisson is facing Ajax, and you also want to maybe go for a defender who has attacking potential and the ability to get ball recoveries. Alisson got 6 points in Matchday 1 despite conceding 4 goals to Napoli because he saved the penalty, and he's probably been the only consistent Liverpool player so far this season. But I would actually suggest someone like Onana, who has a good fixture against Pilsen, and he also can make multiple save points. In Matchday 1, he conceded 2 goals at home to Bayern, but he made 11 saves, which is pretty impressive to be fair. So Onana would be my pick, I think, in terms of the Tuesday games. You don't have many options. I think Onana, Alisson, or Lloris would be the top 3, and I would go for Onana. Let me know what you think of that one. And as for Courtois, he's my favourite option in the game. I've got him in my current team, and he's just one of the most likely to get clean sheets, and also in terms of making saves, and he is the highest scoring goalkeeper in the game so far, because even when he does get the clean sheet, he makes multiple saves in order to keep that. So I like these 2 goalkeepers. It's maybe not the best pairing you're going to get all season, but it's still pretty solid nonetheless. All of these defenders have a lot of attacking potential and good fixtures, but there's also a balance between the Tuesday and Wednesday games. Joao Cancelo has a bit of a tough game, to be fair, against Dortmund, but I still expect City to get a clean sheet, and Cancelo has been looking really impressive in the Champions League. 2 assists in Matchday 1, 9 ball recoveries, and he got the clean sheet on top of that, and he's always up there in terms of the best UCL fantasy options, and that hasn't changed yet again. He actually justifies that 6.5 million price tag. Then we have Hakimi, who got an assist in Matchday 1. He's not the greatest in terms of ball recoveries, but I still think his attacking potential and the fixture in Matchday 2 makes him a worthwhile inclusion. If you're maybe not too sure about him, then you could go for Sergio Ramos for the ball recoveries, and that's fine, and I don't think you would miss him too much. Reece James is maybe a bit more of a risky one. Salzburg isn't a great game, maybe. It's not the toughest game on paper, but it's also maybe a bit deceptively easy, if you get what I mean, especially with Chelsea being quite poor defensively so far this season. But they do have a new manager now, Graham Potter, and he has a bit more time to prepare his team for his first game in charge. Let's see what the reaction is from the Chelsea defence and also the team in general. I think there will be a reaction, a managerial bounce, and as a result, I think Reece James could be a great pick in Matchday 2. Then we have Ivan Perisic, who has the attacking potential. I even had him in a Limitless draft last season when he was classed as a midfielder, and I think he's even more appealing now with the clean sheet points, playing as a defender, but he's really just playing in these really advanced areas for Tottenham. He got an assist in Matchday 1, and in the Premier League he already has 2 assists. And in terms of ball recoveries, I wouldn't expect too much, but Perisic is a great option nonetheless, and probably one of the very best options in the game. And finally, we have Trent AlexanderArnold, who tends to be one of the best defenders in any fantasy format, but Liverpool are struggling, and Trent is maybe a key reason why they are doing pretty poorly. Trent has always had these kind of maybe deficiencies defensively, but he makes up for it with his passing and also the runs, the crosses, everything that he does. But he is a really good UCL fantasy asset because of the ball recoveries. Liverpool tend to do well in the Champions League, and he can also get the attacking returns. It hasn't happened so far, apart from the ball recoveries, as you can see there. But I think against Ajax, there could be a reaction. Thiago's going to be back into the team, and Liverpool should be a bit better. and you'd be surprised if they don't produce a response within the next few weeks. I think Ajax is a tough game, and a bit similar to Cancelo, you could say. Both of them great fantasy assets. They're proven, they can do really well, but the fixtures themselves are really tough. Trent is off form, but I still would risk it, I think, especially when you consider the balance between the Tuesday and Wednesday games, which is mightily important, because you don't want an imbalance and then suddenly you won't be able to make as many points from the substitution. So I would take a risk with Trent. If not, go for Alisson in goal instead of Onana, and maybe go for another defender instead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. What a weird season we're having when probably the two players you would highlight in this team and think, well, what are they doing in here, are Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah, but things change so quickly in football, and I wouldn't be surprised if Salah finally shows what he's capable of. But he only has scored 5 goals for Liverpool in his last 27 games from open play. That is absolutely ridiculous, and it's not just down to Mane leaving, because it also stems from last season, and there was a huge change in his role in this calendar year compared to the last one, where he was in scintillating form and competing for the Ballon d'Or. But Salah against Ajax, I think he could still produce some returns, and once again, it's to balance the Tuesday and Wednesday games. It gives you a good captaincy option potentially on the 13th, but honestly, I would probably be looking to captain Leroy Sané instead, despite the fact that he is facing Barcelona. He is one of the best UCL fantasy options in the game. He's only owned by 10%, and I don't know how he's 9 million. He's a great option even on the wildcard, as I discussed in my recent video, and I always talk about this guy. The only problem is possible rotation, but with the form he's in, I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. Then we have Kevin De Bruyne, who is one of the most informed players in the world, so this is a bit of an easy pick despite facing Borussia Dortmund, which could be a bit of a cagey affair, which it has been in the last few times they faced each other. But Kevin De Bruyne, that partnership between him and Haaland is absolutely sensational, so I would go for him. He got man of the match despite arguably not having his best game against Sevilla, so just go for Kevin De Bruyne and don't overcomplicate it. And then Vinicius Jr., who I had for Matchday 1, he's facing Leipzig, who lost 4-1 at home to Shakhtar Donetsk. I think Madrid could actually wipe the floor with them, especially if Benzema is back from injury. Let's wait and see what the news is on that front. But Vinicius Jr. has been one of the best Champions League options and players over the last year or so, and he deserves credit. He's 10 million as well, so he's a good option for a free transfer on a wild card and also on the Limitless. He's probably one of the best premium midfielders you can go for. And then finally, another big risk in my opinion is Raheem Sterling. How will Chelsea react? Let's wait and see. I can't tell you for sure, I can only give you guesses, but I think Sterling could do a good job in Matchday 2. The fixture is there for him. He's a nice differential with 4% ownership, and with him you're going to be relying on those goals, sometimes the odd assist, but mainly the goals through his really good positional play. So this is a really good midfield on paper. Let's see how it performs, and if I were to use the Limitless, which is a possibility, I would go for something identical, if not the exact same as this. This is the big dilemma now in terms of the forward line. So Haaland and Mbappe play on the same day, and Lewandowski offers you an option on the 13th, but he is facing his former club Bayern Munich, and his ceiling will be lower as a result. So as much as I like Lewandowski and the balance by having him, you could actually go for another forward instead, such as Harry Kane, or even better still, Neymar, who has just scored at the time of this recording in PSG's recent Ligue 1 game. So this is my preferred front line. I think Neymar has a really high ceiling in Matchday 2, but you also have to consider the balance. So if you are quite happy with only having 5 players on the Tuesday, then go for Neymar over Lewandowski, because I honestly think the Brazilian has a higher ceiling. He's also got really low ownership, so he's a nice differential, and a lot of people overlook him. He has basically scored or assisted in every single game he has started this season, and also stemming back from the last campaign, I think in his last 15 games for club and country, he has scored or assisted, so no blanks whatsoever. Such consistency from him, and it's great to see. Erling Haaland, I mean, speaking of consistency, we all know about him. He's facing his former club, and I could see him scoring a couple of goals once again, despite the fixture not being the easiest on paper, and he is owned by 56% of the game anyway. And maybe I wouldn't captain him because Mbappe and Neymar do look like better options, but this looks pretty good nonetheless. Let me know your thoughts. Would you go for Neymar or Lewandowski, or maybe would you sacrifice another forward, maybe Haaland or Mbappe? I'd be very interested to see. And in terms of the captaincy, I would probably go for Sane or Salah on the Tuesday, and then on the Wednesday, it would have to be one of the PSG attackers, and I think I'd favour Mbappe right now, because when he's in the team, he's the focal point of the attacks, and Messi and Neymar are creating the chances for him, so he's getting the bulk of the big chances, and he is much more likely to get those man of the match awards as a result. But that's the team, the best Limitless team. It doesn't doesn't matter about the bench. Remember, always bench players who are playing on the Wednesday. You can bring them on for those that blank or don't do that well on the Tuesday. Check out my How to Play UCL Fantasy guide and all my recent UCL Fantasy content, and you will be up to date and you'll know everything you need to do the best possible job in this season's UCL Fantasy. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 300 likes, and we're very close to 14,000 subscribers, so it'd be very much appreciated if we can reach it today. And we've made so much progress in the last few weeks, and there's going to be more UCL Fantasy content, including deadline streams to come on the Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. And there's also going to be the team selection, where I'll reveal whether I'm going to use the Limitless or maybe do something else entirely. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram for all the latest updates for my channel, as well as FPL and UCL Fantasy updates. And you can also check the links in the description below, including the UCL Fantasy League, the Discord server, and all that good stuff, such as the Patreon and the channel membership. So huge shout out goes out to all those who are already supporting the channel even further. It's much appreciated, especially the recent members as well. And I wish you all the best of luck for Matchday 2 and the rest of the season, and I'll see you next time.